Hello, in this video we'll talk about in-text citation in APA 7th edition. As you all know, any ideas, any thoughts, any information that you are getting from outside sources, that you're getting from the databases, that you're getting from internet, you have to cite that. If you're not citing it, that is called plagiarism. That would be copying. So make sure you are implementing your in-text citation. Now there are two places that you would be citing your sources. The one that you cite inside the text is called in-text citation, and the entire reference goes in your reference page where you're going to put author's name, the source that it comes from, whether it's a database or a book or a website, that goes in your references. But in your in-text citation, what you put is a shortened citation, that is author or the year, and depending on what you are citing. So anything is a problem. If you're underciting, it may be called plagiarism or self-plagiarism, and if you're oversighting, that would be distracting for the reader. Now, what oversighting is, in your paragraph you have 8 sentences and you have 7 citations. So it is, everything is coming from outside source. So what is coming from you? Nothing. That's not what you do. You have to have your ideas supported with outside information from the sources which are reliable. All right. So that is what it is called oversightation. Don't write 8 sentences with 7 citations. So that is not a good thing to do. So how do we cite? The main citation style in APA is called author date citation. All right. What author date citation means, you are only writing the name of the author, as you see here, and the year of publication. This is called author date citation. Now, this goes in parentheses. Whenever you're paraphrasing or quoting or summarizing any source, that goes inside parentheses like this. So author and the date, all right, year of publication of that particular book or any database. Now, there are two kinds of citation that you would be doing: the author date that we just saw, and then the other one is called narrative citation. What narrative citation means, where you're introducing the author before you cite something, before you paraphrase something, or before you quote something. For example, you see here, you're writing the name of the author. So that means that is narrative. You're telling us what did he do, whether he is arguing something, whether he's trying to prove something, whatever the author is doing. So when the author's name comes first, that is called narrative citation. So then author's name remains outside your parenthetical citation and only the year of publication goes inside. So author would be outside the parenthetical citation and you will just put the year of publication. That is called narrative citation. You can do either way. You can either start with the author's name, or you can just cite your source first and then put it in the end. So in the end, you can just go and write author's name and year, like I showed you earlier. All right. So when you have two authors, and you are doing a narrative citation here, like we have 2 authors, you would put the exact word and between the 2 authors, and then you're going to put the citation in parenthetical citation. You're going to put the year of publication, and then you'll say argued, found, or whatever in there. But when you are not doing narrative and you have to write the names of both the authors, then this and changes into the sign, the ampersand sign. Now let's talk about how do we cite one author and how do we cite 2 authors and more than 3 authors. All right. So when there is a work by one author, it's simple. You are writing the name of the author and putting a comma here. These punctuations are very important. All right. Name of the author and the year of the publication inside the parenthetical citation. All right. Inside the parentheses. Once you have quoted something or once you have paraphrased something. So this is how it's going to go. But when it's a narrative citation and you're writing the name of the author first, then you will write the name of the author, and then in parentheses you're going to put the year of publication. When you're writing about two authors, when there are two authors for a source, then I just showed you how to do it. You will, if you're doing a narrative citation, you would use the word and. If you're not doing the narrative citation and you're writing the names of the author inside the parentheses, then you would be using this sign, which is called ampersand sign. This is very important. These small things are very important and they count towards your grade. So when it's in the text, you're using and. When it's inside the parentheses, you're using the ampersand sign. When you have a work which has 3 or more authors, then you would be doing this thing here, which is called et al. It's called et al. All right. So you are going to write the name of the first author, no punctuation between them, and then you're writing et al. That means Browning and others. All right. And then there goes a period after al. Put a period, put a comma, and then the year of publication. Same you're going to do here. If you're doing a narrative citation, then you will put the name of the author, et al., no comma, and then you will put the year in parentheses. So this is simple. It has made, the 7th edition had made things very simple for you. If the author is a group, if it's an association or if it's an organization or whatever, you are not going to find an author, okay? It might be the organization, it might be the company that is writing that article, all right? So same goes here. If it is a company, you are not going to write the author's name. Your company itself or organization itself is the author. So same remains for the organizations too. You write the name of the organization and you're going to put the citations the same way. If the organization has an acronym, so first you're going to write the full name of the organization, and then in the parentheses or in bracket you're going to give us the acronym so that you can use that acronym later. You don't have to spell it out every time you're talking about it, but you can use the acronym later. This is how it is done. For example, you're talking about Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and it has an abbreviation or an acronym like CDC. So you're going to put it in the brackets, and then you're going to put the year of publication. Now, once you have told us that this is what CDC stands for, then next time you can go ahead and just put CDC rather than spelling the whole thing out. Okay, so if you're putting it inside the parentheses, then it would be in brackets. But if you are doing a narrative citation, you are going to put it inside the parentheses. If there are multiple works by different authors, then you will have to name them. All right, we usually don't come across this because we are not writing that big of paper. It would happen in, if you're writing like thesis or dissertation, it happens then. But if you are doing multiple works by different authors, then you are going to separate them with a semicolon. All right, so you're writing the names of the author, then the other author has written the same thing, so you are separating them by semicolons. If you are missing some information, like you do not have an author, or sometimes even you find the name of the author as anonymous, which is not common, and I would not encourage you to use the information which says anonymous unless it's like historical or something and it comes from a book where, you know, people do not know the names of the author, but it is an important information which people have been using, then you can use it as anonymous. All right, but I would say stay away from that kind of information. If you have a work with no author, what do? Then what you're going to do is you're going to use the title of that work, the title of that article. All right. So you see here, you will put the title of the article and the year it was published. And this title here goes inside the quotation marks. That's important. All right. If it is a book, then it has to be italicized. If it's an article name, then no, then it goes in the regular font. You will only italicize if it is a name of a book or a title of a work that stands alone, like any report or any dissertation or whatever. If you do not have a date, a year of publication for any of your sources, again, I would say please don't use those kind of sources. But if you have to, then what we do is instead of the year, we would put the word, not the word, we would put the abbreviation N.D. That means no date. All right, so that's what you can do, and it's pretty common. You would find some information where there's no date. I do not encourage my students to use that kind of information, but if you really have to use it and there is no date, then you can use author, comma, ND. So make sure all your citations in text citation correspond to your reference entry. The only thing that does not need a reference entry but requires in-text citation is personal communication. So like, for example, you have interviewed something and you have used that information inside your text. In your parenthetical citation, you're going to write it as personal communication and the exact date. For example, it's April 24th, 2020. So you're going to put the exact date. That does not need a reference entry because we cannot really go back and check when it took place. So that's the only thing that does not need a reference entry. Otherwise, all your in-text citations would have a reference entry. All right, so make sure you're checking your references throughout your writing process, and you are also checking for their accuracy. They're accurate, you have cited them correctly. If someone has to look for the author, that author's last name starts, whatever you have in your in-text citation, the same author's last name is in your reference entry, so that it's easier for people to navigate and go back and check your references. All right, and if you need any further information, you can always check these citations and the rules for your citation in APA style in your apa.org website.